Hey guys, Aardvark here, and we're ready for installment 4 of building a Black Templar Thunderhawk. As you can see, we've made some significant progress on the Thunderhawk. There's a lot I got to cover, but we're going to use a short period of time because we actually want to get to the building and not a lot of talking. What you're going to see in this video is me assembling the top part, putting the cockpit in, and putting the nose section on. I have actually gone in and painted the entire cockpit, or the whole hangar bay, but what happened, I screwed up the video. I'm just going to tell you the truth. I honked up the video, and so I don't really have a lot of video of the interior. I've tried to take still shots of it and all kind of stuff, but it hasn't worked out. So what I'm going to do is, for those of you who are interested in learning the technique of applying washes, I'm going to put in the show notes below a couple of links to some videos where people do washes, and they do them very well. Chung over at WGConsortium has just released a video on how to do pen washes, or precise washes, with oil wash, and then Les, I think it's APJ, Awesome Paint Job, he has videos that are great for making your own wash and for how to apply it. So I'll do you a favor. What you missed on the inside was basically the washing of the inside, and then I'll do my best to get you a couple of photos so you can see the job I did in there. Alright, there we go. I've glued in the cockpit and the workstation behind it there. This right here is just dry fitted on. It's going to be the actual key to the mounting of it on the flight stand, because my plan is to pass the flight stand through the floor and then up to the top here. And I think that will help distribute the weight, because I anticipate that this is going to be tail heavy because the wings are so huge. But what we're going to do now is we're going to glue on the nose section. We're going to have to do this very quickly because the piece is just a wee bit warped. But I think with the front door in and the tension from the glue, that we can hold this enough to where we can actually bend it into shape, and then with the glue it will actually it will seal itself down. What I've done is I've gone with my knife and I've scored the edges of both the nose piece and the body, so that the glue will have something to grab hold of. And you can't really see them, but there's just little lines now in the resin for the glue to go through, just like our wash. It'll be capillary action, and then we're going to put it on there, and we're going to provide some tension, and then it should glue straight on the way it's supposed to be. So this is always the fun part of adding the glue to the model, because this is where the rubber hits the road. So here we go. I'm going to make a nice bead on the inside so that we don't get a lot of spillage or seepage outside, but it should sandwich enough and take care of it enough. And alright, here we go. Hope we're getting some good video, because once these two parts connect, it's game on. Alright, there we go, connected. Now I'm going to apply some tension to the back. Everything looks lined up. And I'll just hold my tension in place until it looks like it's dried. Now what's great is I got a big stomach, and I'm able to hold this pretty firm in here. Having the front door in, the nose door, helps out a lot. Alright guys, here we go. The next step is going to be putting the landing gear on. We've got landing gear, front, left, right, and then we got little landing gear doors in the back. What I've done is I've just taped that piece into place because it's going to be part of our modified mounting system for the flight stand. So I don't want to glue it into place just yet. But it will allow me to turn the model over like that and turn it on its head. So that way we can see. Now the pieces, I still have to cut the plugs off. And I'm going to do that off camera because you've already seen me cutting plugs, so you don't really need that. But here's how the landing gear will sit up in there. And it'll look pretty snazzy. That's a lot of detail on the bottom that we're going to be able to come back in later and highlight. Alright guys, what we're looking at here is the main landing gear of the Thunderhawk. It comes in basically 3 pieces. You've got the landing gear itself, you've got a main strut that goes to, and it puts right back here, and then you got a support and actuator is what it's really called. Now what I've done is I've taken the part and I've actually pinned it in with a piece of metal and a metal rod, and in that way, if you look at the construction, here's our metal rod. If you look at these parts, you have basically a small piece of resin connected to another piece of resin with nothing really in between to hold them. If I were just to put glue in there, what would happen eventually would be the fact that this thing would get picked up, put down, picked up, put down, picked up, put down, and it would stress out that super glue. And eventually, either the super glue or the resin would snap, causing a repair. I know my friend, I know how he treats his models, and this thing is apt to be riding around in the trunk for a little bit. So I wanted to make the landing gear somewhat solid. So what I did was, I drilled a hole right here. If you can see, let's go to the close-up. If you can see right there, I actually drilled a small hole, which does extend into the cargo bay, but it's far enough back that you won't see it. And then when we put our gear strut in, it will go into that hole. See if I can do this with my glasses. There we go. And now it's down in there, so I have resistance that's going to keep it from rocking back and forth. Now the way that this is built, there's no way I can send one in this way. We're going to do that on the back gear. This is going to glue down, and then I'm thinking about putting one through this linkage right here. It's just a matter of I don't believe this is thick enough to support it. So once I get this all glued in, then what I can do is come back, put this in like this, run the rod through, and then put a couple dabs of super glue, which will hold it into place, and it won't swivel, and the weight will be held up by the piece of metal rod, will support the whole thing. I think that's a winner. So we're going to tackle that. So let's go ahead and get that knocked out. Alright, we got our super glue on. Slide it in, bam, it's in. Now if you remember what I said about super glue and resin, once this stuff touches, you got basically just a few seconds to get it straight, and that's it, you're done. So if you can see, let's take a closer look. She's in there. Come on, focus. There you go. It's in there, and we'll let the super glue dry for a minute. Now, Forgeworld, bless your little hearts, included this little piece right here. I'm not quite sure what that piece is for. It's bent up from the floor, but it kind of acts to support the actuator and keeps it from laying in there. I don't really know So I've kind of pushed down on it to take some of the rigidness out, and then I'm about to put the actuator in there. Alright, we got our glitter strut glued in. We're going to push our pin in. I may take a little bit of length out of it. What I'm going to do for now is I'm going to let that stay just like that, because I want to be able to paint in there, but I think this way I can actually have the landing gear still function. We'll see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you from the start how I did this. Now what I did was I took the pin drill and I drilled one hole in there like that. So then I'm going to come over here to the main strut, noticing that the gear, that this little actuator pin has got to be facing the front. So we're going to come over here and drill us a hole midway down the shaft, about where the other hole is and the wheel well. We're going to go a little deep because this is a thick piece and we should be able to get the wire way up in there. So I have a little piece of wire right here. Take our snips, hold the wire on there. We're going to go ahead and just slide it into the hole. No need to glue it at this point. All we gotta do is get it down in there. There it goes. Then you take this and sit it on top and make sure you have a good fit. Yeah, there we go. It's in. Now, what's going to be important when we do apply glue is that we're going to want to make sure that this landing strut and that landing strut are lined up. You don't want them, uneven, because your gear will be all jacked up. So how we're going to do that, first of all, we're going to make sure it goes all the way down, is we can take a straight edge like this and just come back in and make sure that it is straight. And then we'll use our eyeballs. Make sure we got it. We're going to put another pin in here and put a pin in the bottom of our well there. So that way we'll have a place to sit it down on, and then it'll lock in. And then that's it. That's how we do the landing gear. Then once we got all this dried and set up, we'll drill a hole through there, put a hole through the inside of our landing gear, drill it through and go about halfway through this piece right here. And then what we're going to do is once we get the landing gear stuck in, the pin in, we're going to flip everything over, and with the model flat on the table and centered up, we're going to brace it into place, and then we're going to glue the landing skids down, because you don't want the landing skids going back and forth like that. Not very realistic, and I would hate things to be flopping around. And then, like I said, these pins are just there to reinforce the resin. So maybe it's, I think it's worth it. I don't know. I think it would help it out. That's the reason why I'm doing it. Maybe not, but I think it would. So, all right, see you in a minute.